rookie blunders. I feel right there.
I am so tired mentally
Yeah.
from that exchange.
Mentally
So
and emotionally. You went through a roller coaster of emotions.
it was a lot. You saw me, if you don't, wait, what is the phrase? If you don't something at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best or something.
Yeah.
If you don't like me at my, which is a bad saying because like if your worst is terrible, then like relationships are all conditional. Can we say that first and
Yeah.
foremost? Any relationship is conditional. Like Kory, if you all of a sudden were like a dick and started like punching me, like I don't think we'd be friends.
Yeah, no.
Like, our friendship is conditional on us not fighting each other.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like friendships are conditional and all of relationships are. So, don't say that phrase to someone because like, there's one thing to like help support someone in times of trouble. But like relationships are all conditional.
Agreed. And reciprocal. Yeah, like what are you getting out and gaining out of that relationship as well?
100%. Hello and welcome to the Average Bros Gym podcast, where your hosts with eerily similar names, Croy and Kory, sit you down and talk about life advice with you or something. No black and white takes or polarizing takes, just genuine advice and good conversation. And it's been a morning already. Welcome to a show in which we talk about things that may have something to do with health and wellness and things that kind of keep you focused on your goals, but also like provide a safe space to talk about like, differing challenges to health and wellness and kind of what that looks like for you and how it's going to look different for everybody. But it's also a space for sometimes we talk about God knows what. Yeah.
Agreed. Like technological difficulties and how you handle
this shit. If anybody listening to this podcast has made a podcast or had recorded something, just let me know. We had this issue where now the Mixcast 4, the Tascam Mixcast 4, it's an audio mixer, right? It allows us, Kory and I, to speak in different microphones and have the output of the mixer be recorded in one input from the computer, right? Because otherwise, like when you're recording for software, you have to select microphones, so you can't do multiple microphones. You have to do one microphone. So mixer allows us to do a lot of other things too. But it was like defaulting to Bluetooth the computer, and so the recording wasn't working because the Bluetooth was like getting messed up. And then we would change it up. Then it was the wrong, like the cord didn't work, so I had to do a new cord for the USB-C cord to plug it into the computer. And then the microphone was wrong, so we had to like change the default. And then for whatever reason, it's been a lot. And it was like, earlier on, it was like this like whirring, kind of high pitched screeching sound. And I was like, well, we can't record like that, because I think Megan's episode and I think had a little bit of that in the background. And if you didn't notice, don't think about it.
it felt like it was like watching you get stuck in traffic. Like right when you think you're gonna start to make some serious headway, bam, you hit another red light, or you see the entire row of cars in front of you all hit their brake lights, and then you realize like, oh nope, I'm not going fucking anywhere.
And watching me react to those things was very much like that, because I also have road rage. And this was computer rage. So
how do they differ, or how are they also similar? Because I can't attest to the computer rage because I don't experience that. That is not my area of expertise in any way, shape, or form. And road rage, I'm kind of just like, I don't know, it's out of my control. I can't fucking control traffic, so I guess I'll just deal with it.
Depends on what the situation is in road rage, depending on,
saying, like if you like get cut off or something.
Yeah, or if like, I don't know, someone's trying to merge going 22 on the highway.
That's a little bit
like
much.
You guys, this acceleration lane for a reason. Like it's called the acceleration ramp or lane or whatever. Like it's designed to accelerate, not accelerate from 30 to 35. You know what I mean? Like okay.
I think people need to re-up on their driver's tests. I think there should be something like that. Is there another one that you have to do before you're like 60 or something?
I'm just convinced that like, well, one, there should be like continuing education. One thing I'm convinced of is that half the people that are driving don't have licenses, or like maybe not half.
You
but
think?
Like,
wow, it's like half. Half seems like a lot.
I don't think about the odds of getting pulled over. They're not that high. Like I haven't been pulled over since I was in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's actually impressive.
With a red car the last 3 years too.
Is that, or because of the whole
people say it's a thing?
Yeah. Like, oh, you got to look out for the red car because then it's like the sporty car. Is that what cops are actually looking for? Or that your insurance goes up a little bit higher because you have like the red sports car?
The red cars are the ones that are carrying all the drugs. Obviously, that's how you know that they're carrying drugs.
Will you? Mm-hmm. You think that's Diet Coke you're sipping on in there?
No, it's actually just Coke. But no, it's Diet Coke. Needed some after that long morning and long day. It's been a crazy morning so far. Okay, well, anyways.
I still think it's going to be jalapenos.
We're going to edit it. So it's back. As soon as I say that, we were talking about the internet, and the internet was like, oh, yeah, it looks like you have an issue with your connection. Okay, so let's back to my major point. If anybody records music, podcast, recording anything, you record fucking stand-up comedy, if you record slam poetry, let us know. I've been using a used Squadcast, I think. Was that the first one we used?
Yeah.
And that resulted in one of our episodes being lost completely. And then the backup was like really, really bad backup. They had like it was just one audio input. So I stopped using that one because I was like, well, I don't want to just get lost again. It was being really sketchy. So we moved to Riverside. Riverside has its own issues. But every week we've had a new issue.
We're 3 for 3 at this point.
Kind of comes out of the blue with Riverside, where it's like, oh yeah, this is happening now, and this is happening now. Oh no, wait, actually. So if anybody has an experience with that, let us know, please. Oh man, I would save me a lot of computer rage. But yeah,
the worst.
Yeah, that's okay.
What's your go-to way to, like, after you're going through a very stressful situation like that, to just decompress?
Good question, because I think
not just with like computer stuff, but then like work, or you did just get caught in an hour-long traffic jam, and you can tell that your blood is boiling over the side. Like, what do you do to just? I need to chill. I need to like escape. Like, what's your go-to?
Well, my buddy Tevin at one point, specifically with cars, he was kind of like saying, if you're on the road, assume that like the best in it, because it doesn't hurt you to like assume the best in someone. Like if someone cuts you off, it's like, oh, they're probably maybe they got some really bad news or something like that, and they're rushing, whatever.
Yeah, they're rushing to the hospital.
Yeah, and it might not be true at the same time. Like, what hurts you to like feel that way?
Or if they're driving too slowly or merging, like, oh, maybe they have a
older
a baby
person
in the back, or they have like an entire buffet that they're trying to like cater something to, like foods and stuff that they don't want to spill or whatever.
Physiologically, like nasal breathing. Like just taking a deep breath. Zach would say it's like that kind of like reset breath of like the too quick like inhales and then the deep exhale.
Kind of purse through lips, like exhaling through a straw almost, just to.
Yeah, that deep inhale, exhale.
Yeah. How if you want to like get excited, take like a couple quick shallow breaths and like wakes you up a little bit. But
so that's
breath.
That's the physiological way of doing it. That's like, and so I try to calm down a little bit. Obviously, like I don't know. In the grand scheme of things, it is about having some sort of like reference point to like ultimately having computer issues is not the worst thing in the world. Like, it's not a big deal. But it is really annoying when you're trying to put out a podcast and record episodes. And, I also want to be conscious of your time. Obviously, we're doing this together, but I'm like, man, I don't want you to come over. Then it's like an hour and a half later we start recording because like I just can't get the computer right. But
But again, like what of that is in your control and what is outside of your control? I feel like that's along with the physiological like breaths that you were taking to just kind of de-stress your system a little bit. Also, just recognizing that I think is a very powerful way to detach yourself from the scenario that you kind of currently find yourself in. I know that helps me a lot, at least.
I agree. I think that's a really good point.
And then too, kind of like recognizing like what is the, especially when you work a lot with like kids or youth and they're blowing up or freaking out about something that for you doesn't really seem like that big of a deal. Like their first crush kind of broke up with them or something like that. Like, but at the same time, that's the worst thing or the hardest thing that they've ever experienced. So the hardest thing that you've experienced is the hardest thing that you've ever experienced. It's all relative.
Yeah.
So
having empathy is very important.
Yeah.
Because you're right. And I think that goes into like, even like, when you're dealing with, how many times have you been working with like a client or even like a friend or like a family member, and like, they're upset about something, and in your head, you're like, well, you don't react the same way. You're like, oh, that's not kind of a big deal. But you want to say that obviously it is like you have to be real with people. Like empathy is important to a degree. And obviously it depends on the person, but you're like, oh man, that's awful. Like there's definitely stuff to deal with that. Even though like in your head, it might not be the biggest deal in the world, but yeah, just being able to kind of relate to someone. And I think that helps when you are going through your own like kind of frustrations and upset and being upset, because then you can kind of like settle down and kind of think about that other person involved.
And especially if you've gone through something similar that they are expressing some challenges with, that obviously makes it easier. But if you're disconnected from the topic that they're, referencing at that point in their life, that I find is generally a little bit harder. But I mean, like hard things are all hard things. It's just on a which end of that spectrum,
Yeah.
is it? But yeah, and then also like the relationship that you have with that person, and the depth of that relationship as well, I think impacts your ability to be able to empathize, or to what degree you are able to empathize with that person.
Sure. You're more likely to like listen and like fully listen, depending. I think we all need a little bit of that like emotional kind of like stabilization. It's interesting. A lot of like I don't know, it's just you have to find that kind of person that you do it with. And I think it's kind of difficult in a lot of relationships, depending on kind of, I don't know, it like, sometimes like bro to bro relationships, like male to male are tough, because like we are a lot of the times taught to like not express certain emotions. So it's kind of hard. Like, so I mean, like how many times have you and your buddy been like working out, and like that's the time that you discuss things going on, but it's like you're lifting, so it's okay, right? Like
it's true though.
But it is like
it really is.
But it's like that's you have to find those people, I think, that you're just able, you have a different emotional wavelength with. And I think that's not for everybody. Like your relationship with this person might not have that emotional depth, and that's okay. But it's kind of like knowing that who you have that with, and just seeking that when you need. So
and what I think too, also the activities in which that you are participating in with those people too can either one facilitate further conversation or like exploration within that emotional kind of topic. For instance, talking with your buddies at the gym, or shooting hoops at the court, I feel like just that activity that we can kind of simultaneously engage in while still having that thought lends itself to making that conversation easier between guys, versus like maybe just like rather than sitting down at a coffee shop and like that's all you're
looking
really
into their eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like with my buddies, I definitely want to do that. Or I mean, even getting coffee, but I've established those types of friendships for, at this point, decades, in some instances. And then that you've had so much cachet built up within that relationship that then I feel fine. Yeah, like, oh yeah, let's just go grab a coffee and like kind of hang out. But definitely when you're younger, maybe not as cognitively developed, that going through playing basketball out on the court or lifting weights in the gym with your buddies, that's a little bit of an easier avenue rather than like, hey, yeah, let's just go get a coffee.
Yeah, if you have emotional things to talk about, maybe you've going through an issue with like your partner, or like something with the family, or what have you, career, and if you are guy and you've got some guy relationships, like I'd be really interested to hear a women's perspective on this. Meg is out taking the dog Murph out. She also just the greatest person in the world, because she made me a sandwich because I had a long morning, and she was just sweet and love it. Anyways, but like if you're a guy listening to this and you've got some guy friends, and even women, obviously, I don't want to like just generalize, but find your friend, go get like a drink, and if you want to do it in a drink setting, like a beer or a THC or a seltzer or whatever, have them sit 90 degrees to you, so you're not facing each other at a table, you're having a 90-degree angle. That always works. And then also, like what you said, like a mutual game or a mutual effort. Because I know when we had during kind of the COVID shutdown and lockdown, and when we had more of those months, like you and I were playing before they took the rims off of the basketball hoops, which they did do at one point.
God, that's right.
But like we would have discussions like during that time, like we would for sure kind of be processing whatever was happening to us and like what we were dealing with, via like games of horse and like just shooting baskets. Like that was kind of like the pastime we did, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and I think there's probably something that goes out there like stimulating both sides of your brain, to like, sometimes the best thoughts and ideas that are generated for me are like when I'm being active and going for a walk or on a run, or, in this instance, just kind of shooting some hoops and moving your body and then still having that conversation. That's oftentimes when I find that I have better conversations. It facilitates it a little bit easier for sure.
What happens when if you are listening to this and you and your buddies, doesn't matter gender, if y'all go like golfing, like what do y'all talk about? Like I feel like that's a pretty good,
golfing's a good one too,
emotional processing sport because it's very low intensity. It's a lot of time for talking.
Mm-hmm. It's low. Well, you'd almost want to say physical intensity. That's if you have like a golf cart. But otherwise, thinking of how you go from the just kind of putzing around on the cart, trying to find your ball, to then where you have to be like very intentional and dialed in on your shot, if that's the type of game that you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it's usually on the weekends too, or I don't know. I think it's on the weekends. Some people are going to go like 3-4 times during the week too, and that to me is just an insane amount of time.
A lot of people will get up real early for golf. You know what? That's a fun fucking thing because I feel like we can say, every time we talk about like 5 a.m., 6:15 a.m. workout, 7, whatever, we're people like, oh, that's so early for me. But I'm like, I'll get up pretty early to go to golf because you got to get an early tee time a lot of these places. But, I guess that's a leisurely thing or just something that they enjoy. So they're willing to get up for it earlier, which makes sense. But I'm just like, it's not that early though. Like it is early, but it's not. You could do it.
Like even doing 9 holes gets to be a lot for me anyway. And there's some people that'll go out there on a weekend, be like, do an 18 on Saturday and then do like another whole 18 on Sunday. I'm like, that's got to be cumulatively to get through like a full round of 18, like what, 4 hours?
Mm-hmm. They're doing your trail run, but just via golf.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
They're just doing that. So
that's a good point.
I want to just pause for a second just to make sure this internet is working and see if I'm reconnecting. But nothing's stopping, so I think it's good. I just don't want to like lose conversation, but we'll see what happens if I have to stitch some stuff together. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I did edit a lot of stuff out from one of the other episodes, so I can always edit this shit out too. Whatever. Anyways, so yeah, we did last Thursday, I believe. Not this past Thursday, but Thursday prior. My buddy Alec his bachelor party, and so we did a 9 holes. There's about 16 of us, I believe. And we, that was the first part of the day, was just 9 holes at Hiawatha Golf Club.
Okay.
And we did a scramble, which I'd never done before.
Those are fun.
I hadn't played golf in about 12 years, 15 years. But the scramble was fun because, so if you're not familiar with what that is, it was 4 people and we all shoot, but we play the best ball. So like we all shoot off the tee. Okay. Who is what the furthest, has like the best angle, whatever. Then we all hit from that place. So we still keep hitting. Everybody keeps hitting, but you just are basically the collective. You're just going for the collective best shot, which had a lot less pressure on me, which was very nice. So if you are in a rush or like, you have some people on your squad that are very new and they might, maybe they don't feel bad about it, but maybe they just like, oh man, they don't want to like, it's, you don't want to hold people up behind you either. You want to make sure you're efficient with it. Scramble is the option to go. I was not very good.
How many shots did they use of yours?
What was that?
How many shots did they use of yours?
Oh, only like 1 or 2.
Okay.
I had one pretty good off the tee.
Really?
It was like a par 3. It was pretty good off the tee. It was pretty, and I had one really good like chip
shot.
And that was about it. Everything else was pretty garbage.
Okay.
But that's okay. I am not a golfer. But Meg and I are going to the driving range later today. We're trying to. It's just fun. Like it's one of those things where it's like you always kind of talk shit about it when you're 18, 20. I don't know. Maybe I did.
Golf?
Yeah.
I know definitely in middle school, high school for sure. That was not one of the sports that I looked up highly to. Now I have mad respect for all sports, but in golf, we were just talking about this the other night. Like, I think overall that might be the single hardest sport, that along I think with baseball, to be an elite level professional player at. Golf.
Hot take.
Do you think? I mean, like skill wise, to be able to be that excellent at golf, like you're a top tier contender on the pro circuit.
I think there's a couple things going for it as far as like you are competing against everybody else. Like there's the Ryder Cup, which I believe is like Europe versus the US. So it's like kind of different because you're competing for teams. But like, yeah, I mean, most of golf events, individual events are really tough. I think individual sports in general, because you're competing against it's like, yes, on one side you only have yourself to worry about. So like if you're on point that day, you don't have to worry about someone else not being on point. You know what I mean? Like if you're playing excellent, you have to worry about like your teammate being like having an off day. So that's nice about it. But yeah, you're competing against everybody else, so it's like you don't have to get through just one. Like, you know, you're not fighting one team. You're combating against you're against, you know, everybody else in the field. So yeah, that's really tough, man. I mean, as far as skill goes, I mean, I don't know. It's all relative. I think you can't. It's hard to compare apples to oranges. I don't know, as much as I hate to use that phrase. It's hard to compare those, like, you know, across sports, because like, you know, what about sailing? What about like, you know, stuff like that? We just don't have that like that mind frame, or that frame of mind to understand those other sports. But I mean, for the sake of argument, yeah, sure, fuck it, whatever. It's the hardest sport.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking maybe I also just from a personal side of things too. Like I like to think that I pick up sports very quickly and just regular physical activity or games and things like that very quickly. But golf and baseball were two of the absolute hardest for me to get down. Like, give me a month if I was to just go like regularly to bowl. I feel like I could put up like some probably fairly decent numbers. Golf, though, if you give me a month to just try golf, I'm still going to be just as shit as I am today in a month.
I feel like you're a very physical sport person. Like, you excel when putting in more physical work, like equates to more success.
Yeah.
Whereas like baseball and golf and things of that nature doesn't really pan out that way.
And it's weird because like then things like darts or pool, like that level of hand-eye coordination, bags, or a lot of like bar and yard games, those I love too. They're great, they're fun. But yeah, there's something with golf and baseball, that little combination of movements and coordination, whatever it is, it's fucking hard.
Yeah, I was really good at baseball for a while, and then you know, the eye thing.
Well, because there's a lot of like
about that.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of baseball players that I feel like go into golf or vice versa. No, I think probably more baseball that go into golf after. I think with NBA players, like a lot of people just go transition to golf for sure.
I think golf is a sport that you can play and play decently well as a layman, like as an average person, and it's not like.
But then I think it also kind of goes back to the, like, again, the group dynamic of it. Like a lot of times you're going with your people that you regularly go with, always golfing, and then so there's that aspect to it as well that I think a lot of people find enjoyable. It's like you and your other person that are in the car, you know, just kind of putzing along on a beautiful Saturday or Sunday. And then you get to kind of, you know, get a little bit better at this game that requires an incredible amount of skill, you know, mental fortitude, all of those things. But then for a lot of it, I think it is that just camaraderie and getting together and, you know, shooting the shit. Because it's fun to go out there on the golf course. I've only gone a handful of times, but it's an absolute blast. Except when you get a pretty shit shot and then you're going to dig your ball out of the weeds.
I got to scramble, buddy.
Yeah.
I got to scramble.
I get a full bucket of
one person to hit better. That brings me to another point, though, and kind of something I wanted to talk to you about. What the fuck is up with run clubs?
It was so much fun.
Like speaking of like group activities, you like go together, the same group of people. Now, what the fuck? So here's the deal. If you don't know what a run club is, I assume it's just a group of people that get together and run, right? And Kory, you can go into more detail about your experience.
Yeah.
But like I'm on social media, unfortunately. Dear God, is it unfortunate? But I'm on social media and I'm seeing all these, you know, I love my friends that are in the fitness industry. Like I just keep seeing these run clubs pop up. And I was like, I guess it is summer, so it's like you're going to see more of them. But I just feel like I don't remember them being as popular in the past.
Yes.
So like, tell me about what your experience was and like, why the fuck are run clubs so big these days?
You know, I just started seeing them populate on my Instagram feed. And it was just like how you said, I have a lot of friends and acquaintances, all of whom I met through the health and fitness industry. And then I would see their stories pop up. They checked out this run club, and the one that I'm talking about in particular is oh gosh, now I'm spacing on the name. Something. Oh boy, what is it?
I don't know, Kory, but you better think of it soon.
Some ambition. There it is. Ambition required run club. Go check that out.
That sounds like some shit you'd do.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But it was so cool because one of the videos that I saw pop up was, again, somebody that I know through the fitness industry, and just saw that they had attended on a Wednesday night at 6:00, met at Boom Island, and the video, as it panned around, showed a surprisingly large number of people.
100 fucking people.
A lot of people. And I was like, damn, well, that looks cool. And then there was also an element of when they met at Boom Island, I saw that they were doing a running loop right around the Stone Arch Bridge area, which is exactly the same spot that I used for so many of my training runs leading up to my first marathon. And
go listen to episode 9 for more about Kory's marathon.
And so that also had a level of intrigue to it, noticing that also the group that was going, it generally was a lot of individuals in their 20s and 30s, so our peer group, and that made it even that much more appealing. All also centered around this idea of like, hey, we're getting together for the group, for the community, to do something active. It's not meeting up at a brewery, it's not meeting up for like some food or burger. All that kind of stuff is great too, but like just solely for the intent of, we are here to move our body in a way that is accessible to everyone, whether or not you are running a 6-minute mile or you are running a 8-10 minute mile, you're jogging for part of it and walking for some of it, or just walking the entire thing. It's accessible to everybody. It's in a beautiful location. It's on at a time that generally works for a lot of people. And the numbers of individuals that started to gravitate towards this, both I think via their social media presence and then just naturally word of mouth, was something I found incredibly appealing. And they do it on Wednesdays and then also on Saturdays. Saturdays have various other durations of runs. And so finally I just decided to, pull the trigger on it and go just this last week. But yeah.
So you had 250 people show up to this run club,
give or take,
somewhere around that range.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, man, that's awesome. Like, it was more than I thought, because I've seen different ones, and I've seen different ones on social media where I've seen people like obviously post about it and all these, and it seems like so many people. And so, do you just run at the same time? Like, is it like one big line? Like, is that work? Like, do people like power and fear of this massive amount of running people?
There's definitely, when we got there, so we all met up at 6:00, and we all took off by 6:15. And I think for my being there the first time, and I'm very competitive, and Michaela and I went, and we're both obviously training for this 50K, and we're big runners, she is. And we also had some shit we wanted to get to that Wednesday night. Like, we're right in the middle of Thrones right now. So we were like, let's go back. We just had a long day.
The full Game of Thrones, or like House of the Dragon?
Full Game of Thrones. It's her first time watching it. First time watching it. I'm rewatching it for the first time since it last aired, like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Just as good, if not better than what I remember it. So yeah, if you watch Thrones, go give it a rewatch. So yeah, anyways, we're Wednesday and we wanted to get it going at like 6:00, but we all took off at 6:15. We wanted to start, or I should say, I wanted to start in the back of the pack because I knew we would probably be some of the faster runners. So we just let everybody else go in just one big old herd. They started running across the bridge and then hung a left heading down towards Stone Arch. And so it's fun to just be able to kind of weave your way through, kind of picking people off and give yourself more people to chase along the route.
Effectively, it's kind of like you're not racing them, but it's effectively the feeling of a race.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we were running way faster than what we typically do for a lot of our training runs. I mean, we're going 10 at this point now, like 10 plus miles, for our long runs and stuff on Saturday. And so this Wednesday was just going to be 3. We're going to burn it on down, get back, eat some Chick-fil-A and watch some Game of Thrones. And so we took off with the intent of, let's burn this fucker down. And I think average was like a 7:30 mile for us. Well, I mean, which is I think moving pretty good. And it was just a beautiful day. The number of people that were out, it was incredible. And it just seems to continue to gain more and more popularity, which I think is fucking awesome. Especially getting people I chatted with, probably a good 6 to 8 people that I just met for the first time down there. And they had said that they had just been coming for the last like week or two. It was their first time ever running, getting into a routine like that. And that just filled my heart up with just so much happiness, being able to see the power of the community really come together in that endeavor. And again, in a way that is accessible to so many.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, you don't need to be this champion runner in order to participate.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can hang out in the back of the pack and be in the front. And you can be whatever it is. Like you don't have to be at a certain pace. I mean, again, it's similar to a race where it's like you can have a group of people that are be running, 10, 12-minute miles and a group of people that are running 6 or 7-minute miles. Like either way, it's fine.
Yeah. And it was cool to be able to start in the back. And as we were running through the, again, 250 some odd people that were there, to be able to see that put on display of, again, it was generally 20 and 30-year-olds, but people of all different ages, all different ability levels, all different paces, running together at the same exact time. And the looks that other people that were going on the trail would give us, like, you could see their eyes naturally as you see 250 people running along the bike path trail as you're walking your little chihuahua over in like the north like north end area, or North Loop area, I think is what it is. I guess that Boom Island spot. Like you can tell it just gauges or elicits more interest because you're like, well, what in the world is going on? And we as human beings, we want to be a part of that group. And when you see something that big, going on, you're like, well, gosh, I kind of want to be a part of that. There's a little bit of you that it piques your interest for sure. And I guarantee you probably looked it up,
Yeah, they might, Google search Boom Island Run Club or whatever it is, or, find out what it is and see that social media. No, that's definitely a big power of like engagement and things like that too. And just having that amount of people come together for something and have that like-mindedness to that. And it's awesome. And like you said, you're doing something for health and wellness, but that's awesome, man. I love that. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Meg is training for the half marathon right now. I don't really run. I'll still run with her. I can still get like 3 miles if I push it, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm just like, it's not my, I mean, I should be doing it more, but the only times that I've been good at running are when I've been trying to impress girls. So it's the only reason I'm good. I can run 3 miles next to Meg when she's going. So
that'd be kind of fun though. I mean, like right there, you inherently just have a training partner. That's one thing I've really appreciated about, Michaela and I's relationship, or an aspect of it, is that we have that same, we're working towards that same goal with like the 50K, and then being able to train together for that, like simultaneously. Actually just took her through like a little bit of a leg based workout earlier today, which was fun. I didn't even react to that. I actually just led her through a workout
training session
as I was just sitting there sipping on my coffee, because she wants to try to put on a little bit more muscle, and with the training schedule that she's on right now, it's not going to be really conducive towards that, end goal. So we'll see how she's feeling after today. But yeah, I know it took her a little bit through the ringer. Like, holy shit, this is hard.
Yeah. We do some drop sets, do some some rest pause. Some
we did sets. So it was like she wanted to work a little bit on like her
in here.
We did a little bit of work on her back squat, because she would always have a tendency of just kind of like rushing to the bottom a little bit, lose a little bit of stability and kind of position coming out of the bottom.
This is the segment of the podcast where Kory trashes Michaela's squat form. No, we're just kidding.
It's still pretty good. She's strong. I mean, she is strong.
Yeah.
But just getting her more comfortable, getting under that amount of weight, and building her confidence in, you have the ability to be able to do this. It's not going to feel necessarily the most comfortable, and you're really going to kind of challenge yourself, but she's also up to the task, which is why it's fun to be able to push her in that way a little bit. So yeah, it was like just one set of 12, 2x8, and then 2x5 for back squat. We did some single leg like RDLs, some heel elevated cyclist squat, walking lunges. And then what did I ever finish off with? Some like barbell hip thrusters, put your back up on the bench, just get your ass cheeks absolutely annihilated. So it was a good workout. I'm curious to see how she's feeling later on today.
Yeah, I'm sure a little bit sore tomorrow.
Yeah.
Anytime you have like a good leg workout that next day, you're feeling it. Like
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you take that over like, what's the one body part when you work it and that the next day you're like, oh, okay, I know I'm sore, but feels good. Like I like walking around a little bit on some sore legs where I'm like, ooh, I fucking earned that one.
Yeah, no, sore legs are good. And of course, the more frequently you exercise, everybody, the more frequently you move, the more frequently you exercise, the less sore you'll be. So take that into your account.
People that are like, oh yeah, like my biceps don't feel like they're gonna like tear off the bone, or like my quads or my legs aren't completely wrecked or sore. I'm like, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to be like that. That just impedes our ability to be able to train again and get more volume and everything else. I'm like, I don't want you like that.
We probably talked about this before. I remember, but there's like two things to soreness. So like one, doesn't necessarily being more sore doesn't necessarily mean you got a better workout, first and foremost. So like if you're not sore doesn't mean that you have a shitty workout. It means you're probably accumulated. You're excuse me, not accumulated, but you're probably like used to the stress in some degree. But also, it could mean that you're not working out that very hard. So there's two different things. It's kind of like you have to look at you have to look at like other things around your workout. But it's not like, oh yes, I am sore, so I had a good workout, or like I am not sore, so I didn't have a good workout. It's not that simple. It's not that simple.
It's not that black and white.
Yeah.
It's not that black and white.
Polarizing take. But yeah, no, I love a good leg day. I was the other day I was doing more of like a power leg day because I don't know. I'm following a program very loosely. It's one based or made by Amanda Sangiacomo. She's like on socials as like Simply Manders, but she's got like a playbook. She's pretty knowledgeable, former CrossFit, does weightlifting stuff, but like a lot of like bodybuilding things as of late.
Yep.
But she's got the programs up. So I just kind of I follow that kind of more loosely. But then there are days where it's like, I want to do this instead.
Yeah.
Tosh Collins is a guy who he does a lot of really cool things. He is indigenous. I think O'odham is his what tribe he's from out in Arizona. And he does a lot of really interesting like styles of training, kind of depending on what he's going for. He does a lot of like he's working right now. He's working a lot of power movements.
Nice.
But his style of training is very, very interesting. So check him out if you haven't. But like the other day, I was like, man, I was watching some of his stuff. I was reading some of the book that he wrote with his wife Chelsea, and I'm like, man, this sounds like a cool routine that I want to do. Or like I've been seeing some of the things he's been doing. I'm like, I want to try. I'm like, I just felt like that day, I was like, I just want some more like power movements.
Yeah.
And so I was doing a lot of like. So I started off doing, more like clean work. I was doing, with barbells, and I started doing kind of more like these, like kind of like a more explosive, like single leg drills that I was working on. I even did some sprinting, which I did like 2 rounds of it. And I was like, I'm tired.
It'll take a lot out of you.
In conjunction with some typical bodybuilding, like the bridges, the squats, the lunges, things like that too. But I was trying to like do contrast training, like heavy, then light, then like explosive, whatever. Yep. That was pretty fun. So, and that can elicit growth. Like doing those kind of things, like as one-offs, can like just spark your interest a bit more and definitely make you quite sore. So,
yeah. Well, and then incorporating in some of the power stuff or speed work, especially as you age, I think is so critically important as well. Like, I think there's some statistic out there. I'd have to go and see it, but like the percentage of individuals that sprint after the age of 30 or whatever it is shockingly low. Like in the not like 9% range. It's like, like 2% of the population will actually like achieve like a full on sprint like past the age of 30. I'm like, fuck that. Like,
and this is not a message for all y'all to go out and start.
No, don't go rip your hammy off the bone.
It's definitely you have to work your way up to it, right? Yeah. And it's the same way. It's like you wouldn't just want to go out and like 1 rep max your bend, like you know what I mean, like you're gonna fucking. So you got to build up to it. But yeah, I mean, like that running, that sprinting, that's perfect. That's
or even like jumping and stuff too. Like again, some of the plyometric work or the agility work. I feel like as we get older, then we don't want as much of the impact stuff, or like we feel as though we don't want much of the impact because it is a fairly large stressor on the body, or it can be if you're not cognizant of the amount of volume that you're doing or building up to it appropriately for your body to be able to handle those loads on those joints and on those tissues. But if all you do is just kind of go in and you don't try to incorporate that into your training program, that's a lot of the times the shit that's going to cause you to get injured later on is because you weren't incorporating those things. Like what happens when you again, are hopping off of the box or the curb, then you hit that landing, but you've never trained your body or your ankles or whatever to be able to handle that load. Like that's when you get hurt, or when you're sprinting or running around with your dog, but you've never fucking ran or trained lateral agility or anything like before. And then, there, you just popped your groin. It's like, well, that sucks. It's like, you got to get trained for that a little bit.
The other day, I'll tell the story, then I'll probably sign off. The other day, Murph is the dog, of course. We've seen him on camera. So cute.
So adorable.
But he was rolling around the grass, and I was trying to kind of pull him up out of the grass, and the collar came off his head.
Yep.
So we were behind the building, and there's like a little bit like a grassy, park area. So it's nice. It wasn't next to like a street, but he was off the collar. I was like, oh fuck, I gotta get this thing back on. And so what followed were 20 minutes of sheer panic, me trying to catch him but the thing is, like, you try to act chill, like, oh yeah, like it doesn't matter, like come on buddy, but like he wouldn't come. So I was like, well, I kept trying to like not make it a big deal, but he probably sensed the fear in my heart.
That's the thing,
because he thinks then you're playing. It's like, well, okay. I was like, well, maybe I can just get to grab him, but it's like, nope, try to grab him, he runs away. And then so I was kind of like trying to like tire him out. It's like, if I just keep going, like he'll get tired. And he did get very tired. But then that doesn't fucking mean that I can catch him. Like I was like, oh no, I got him now. And it's like he's a dog.
10% is still quicker than Croy at 80.
4 legs. What the hell am I thinking?
And a low center of gravity, fucking quick.
Dude, at one point, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, yo, I got this. Took my I was wearing.
Wait, you took off what?
I was wearing flip flops, and I just threw them off. So I was my bare feet.
Like, that's the reason I can't catch you, because I got my flops on. But once I get these off, you're done for.
Took my phone out of my pocket.
Oh, you were getting in this.
The keys out. I had the leash in my hand, because the leash was attached to the collar. The collar was off, so it didn't really matter, right? So I put that down, hiked up the shorts.
Yeah. You got to give a little jostle, readjust a little bit. You got to get ready for this.
I was getting low.
Yep.
I was like, dude, I got this shit. And so he was so tired.
That active stance.
I was trying to pounce on him. And there was one point I touched him. I was able to get close to him, but like that was literally it. Like there's no way in hell I was going to get this dude.
Ain't close enough.
No, he's so fast. So, anyways, I've trained those things, and I still couldn't catch this damn dog, but didn't hurt myself.
Yeah, that's nice. Good. Well, see, and then I was talking to a buddy of mine who's also training for the 50K, and he, just for exactly what we're talking about, like pulled his groin trying to play with his dog, and you're just going to get hurt. You're just going to get dinged up. We're all human. That's shit's going to happen. But, at the same time, like, had you been training for that a little bit more appropriately, like he might not have popped his groin. I still don't know if anybody's that quick to be able to catch Murph, because that dude's lightning fast.
No, he knows we're talking about it, probably.
Oh yeah,
he's probably sitting behind this door.
I mean, in terms of
laughing about it.
Yeah, the animal species, like humans, are pretty. We're punks.
Yeah,
we got nothing.
If we didn't have tools, it'd be fucked, bro.
Oh yeah,
no claws, no, like, you know what I mean, like
nothing. Yeah, like, slow compared to the animal kingdom, not strong.
Our skin is so tender.
Yeah, like the only thing we can do is an endurance run. That's it. That's the only thing we can beat animals at.
Yeah,
that's about it.
I'll track down beasts for a long period of time. Yeah,
Ambition Required Run Club. Go check it on out.
There we go. That's a great way to end this podcast. Well, friends, check out Kory's Run Club. Are you going to go back?
You know what? I do want to go back at some. I don't know if it'll be a weekly thing, but it'll definitely be something that gets put on the calendar
again. Very if you're feeling particularly community oriented that week.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Great way to meet people, new friends, new community, and potentially just new spark of a interest, in running.
Hell yeah, go check it out. Yeah. You can also check us out at the Average Bros Gym Podcast Gmail or Instagram. At Average Bros Gym Podcast. You can also email us at averagebrosgympodcast@gmail.com. Just whatever questions, comments, concerns you have regarding anything, we'll answer all of your questions and more. I'm happy to help do that as well. And then we've got Patreon as well if you want to support the show. Patreon.com and a bunch of other things. But we'll link that in the show notes. Otherwise, friends, Kory, any last thoughts here before our internet cuts us off again?
Ambition Required Run Club, or whatever fitness routine challenge that you want to go sign up for, like, do it. Do something that scares you a little bit. You'll be so much more happy that you did.
Do it. Go play golf, maybe.
That'd be fun too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking community event. If you're not getting a lot of activity in, like if you're getting under than 5,000 steps in, and then you go do golf regularly, I guarantee you're getting your steps in. So that's a big win. You know,
do that.
Learn a lot about your ability to be able to handle, I don't know, challenges while you shank a shot that you thought you were going to hit. You know, how do you handle that emotionally?
Physically.
Another one is your team was hoping on, you know, you being able to get that clean, clear shot in the, what was it? Parlay, the scramble.
Scramble. Yeah. You know, do a scramble if you're worried about hitting a golf ball because you can do it with other people. And then also, you know, do something nice for your partner. Make them a sandwich.
Yeah.
Something like that. Be nice.
I think it's going to be jalapenos on there.
You think she's going to put jalapenos on a sandwich?
Just to fuck with you.
I don't think she'd do that.
No. True. Not after the morning that you've had.
Yeah, Meg said she put a secret on the sandwich that I would have to like figure out. And I'm like, well, we'll figure it out.
Banana peppers.
Ooh, that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, banana peppers on it. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Give us a follow, like, subscribe, comment. We're on YouTube as well. You might be watching this on YouTube. That would be super helpful. We always love that. Otherwise, y'all have a great rest of your day.